Good afternoon, all, and welcome to another episode of the Fintech Diaries. If you are joining us for the very first time, hello, welcome. A quick introduction from me. I'm one of the consultants here at MCS Group, specializing in financial technology recruitment. Over the last number of weeks, I've been sitting down with senior leaders in various organizations within fintech, really just to get their take on a number of different topics. Today, I had the pleasure of sitting down with Kofil Ali, who's a senior leader and head of trading technology within a fund in London. We discussed his personal methods for driving transformational change within financial organizations, as well as the potential impact of emerging technologies within trading technology businesses. But I'll let him tell you a little bit more about this coming up next. Good afternoon, Kofil. How's things? Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Nice to meet you. Thank you,
sir. And you. So, look, obviously, we're going to spend a bit of time today talking about transformation and in technology, and particularly trading technology. But Kofil, before we get into it, would you mind giving everyone a bit of an introduction with regards to who you are and what your journey so far in tech looks like?
Yeah, sure. Cool. Thanks. So in terms of my journey, my career in technology began at a small startup hedge fund where I was quite, because it was a small firm, I was quite instrumental in driving the growth through innovative technology and changing the process and the people and the culture, and finding solutions through technology. That early experience in a small dynamic environment honed my skills in things like adaptability, rapid problem solving, which subsequently allowed me to transition to a major banking institution, where my focus shifted to steering large-scale transformational projects and initiatives. This role allowed me to leverage my startup insights on a larger scale, so driving significant organizational change and innovation.
Excellent, fantastic. So in terms of obviously look that transformational change bit that I want to talk about within organizations, so look, that's obviously something that you're known for, driving transformational change. So could you share your personal approach or maybe perhaps your philosophy towards initiating and managing such changes?
Sure. So I firmly believe that technology should be the final piece in the puzzle when it comes to transformational change. The initial step involves, for me, my approach is to take a deep dive into the sector that I am asked to go in and help transform. So I research on the sector, I understand the existing culture within the sector, within the organization, the challenges that sector faces, and what are the company business objectives. Establishing those foundational blocks is crucial for creating that environment that will support the change and the growth. So for me, it's going in and doing all the basics right first, not even thinking about technologies first, figuring out who the key decision makers are, what's the culture like within the firm, what's the change appetite like, have they got any experience of any of change appetite, what kind of big projects have they delivered, what's their appetite for failing fast, learning, all those buzzwords that we've used over the last few years for transformational stuff. So it's really getting to the nitty-gritty details of how a company operates. So in order to make that make the actual transformation happen, there's a huge amount of work that goes in the how. So this includes the encouraging senior management to go in conferences, in enrolling in courses, inviting them to one-to-one sessions, incentivizing people to understand what's transformation, how it impacts them, and how ultimately it will impact the company's bottom line. So by aligning individual objectives with the overarching goals of the organizations, I'm able to create a culture where every team member is motivated to embrace and drive that transformation.
Fantastic. And you mentioned there in the beginning of that answer there in terms of some of the challenges. So when it comes to challenges, what are some of the biggest challenges you face when implementing transformational change, particularly maybe perhaps in trading technology? And then I suppose how did you overcome that?
Yeah. So the biggest change I face, and I think most people face, is, and this is agnostic to whether you're operating in the trading technology space or you are in the pharmaceutical or any other sector, the biggest change or challenge I've observed is the resistance to change. It's a very natural thing to do. It's a very human thing to do. That we're all creatures of comfort. So therefore, anyone coming in and asking us to change the way we operate is going to have an impact to us. And these kind of resistance are often deeply rooted in organizational culture. So for me, the resistance to change is the biggest challenge I've faced, and I anticipate I will face in any organisation that I walk into. And looking back at my experience, there have been many periods where my vision was not immediately understood. My
Okay.
transformational vision was not immediately understood by the leadership team, or the team beneath the leadership team. And this leads to sometimes very aggressive pushbacks. So to navigate this, I invested substantial time in understanding and respecting the existing culture and introducing
Mhm.
new concepts gradually. Effective communication and education were quite pivotal in combating that resistance. So the way I did it was to conduct workshops, personalized sessions with the executives to illustrate the benefit of the change, and by ultimately creating a what I call a frictionless environment or culture where employees
Mhm.
felt voices were heard, where we were able to significantly reduce that resistance and foster the acceptance for transformational change to happen.
Excellent. And when you're implementing, transformational change, how are you measuring its success? What are some of the maybe key metrics or indicators that you actually focus on?
Yeah, that's a really good question. If it was as simple as doing a return on investment on transformational project A, and this is what you get out of it, I would agree with you. The answer, unfortunately, is not that straightforward. I think success is measured through a blend of quantitative and qualitative metrics. So you've got the more traditional, classical KPIs that you can use, for example, the financial performance of the company on the back of some major transformational changes, operational efficiency, or change management effectiveness. These are the more classic indicators. However, my barometer for getting a feel for the success of the transformational initiatives are more significant, and this is around employee metrics, which I think are more significant. These are engaged and satisfied. How engaged and satisfied are employees?
Mhm.
These tend to give you a more realistic view on the impact of the transformational change. I also find that some of the informal feedback from especially people on the floor who are actually doing the
Mhm.
doing, whether it's having a coffee with them on a social event, they can provide those conversations can provide some really valuable insights into the actual impact of changes on the workforce. And it allows me to take that feedback and fine tune our strategies. And you can really pick up the themes and the general mood of people around the transformational change, if it's having an impact or if it's not having an impact. So I would say, to answer your question, the metrics, yes, you can use the more classical metrics
Mhm.
around operational efficiency, finance, return on investment, etc. However, the biggest metrics are your employee engagement, satisfaction, and those informal
Okay.
conversations that you can have. Yeah.
Fantastic. I love that. And in terms of then, maybe talking about, impact of technology, something a little bit different. How do you see emerging technologies like AI or the blockchain, etc., influencing the future of, trading technology, which you operate within?
Yeah, sure. So I won't talk too much about blockchain because I think that's been squeezed enough in terms of what you can do with blockchain. I think AI is the one that really interests me and interests the industries. Um,
Okay.
and AI has not only had an impact on trading technology, but it's had a societal impact over the last 2, 3 years. And I can only see the acceleration just speeding up over the next few years as we learn and understand and appreciate what AI is capable of. If we come back to trading technology, where I see AI is making and will continue to make the biggest impact is around the trade workflow automation. So we're looking at things like automating the low value manual tasks, which will thus
Okay.
enable the trading teams to concentrate on the more higher value activities that actually drive revenue and enhance that client experience. So by minimizing time and resources spent on repetitive, boring operations, you've got high valued employees, front office staff, traders who are empowered to engage in more of the strategical initiatives such as market analysis, developing sophisticated trading strategies, and delivering exceptional client service. So this not only elevates the operational efficiency, but
Mm,
also fortifies that competitive edge and client relationship that front office traders really, really look for.
great. And final thing for me, what advice might you give to aspiring leaders in within maybe perhaps trading technology who do want to drive transformational change within their organization?
Mm, sure. So my advice to aspiring leaders will be to engage very closely with the senior executives in the very early stages and invest the time and effort in educating them on the
Okay.
benefits and implications of the transformation and giving them an insight into the challenges that you are very likely to face and what are some of the mitigating action plans that you can put in place to either reduce or completely eradicate those risks happening during the transformation. But spending that time, initial upfront cost or investment, will help you have those executives on side to drive those transformational change. And what I would say is, don't just work with the executives, but work with the management, the middle management chain below the executives. So you need to demonstrate the courage and clarity in the communication of what you're doing, how you're doing it, and what the impact will be. That's crucial. Help the middle management understand what the changes mean for their roles and the
Mhm.
broader organization. Create that vision that aligns with their objectives and showcase tangible benefits that can create and secure that support that you are going to need to really deliver that transformation at the operational level. And in the sector that I operate, it's a very fast evolving industry. Continuous adaptation is essential. So leaders in the finance sector, they must evolve with the changing landscape or risk becoming obsolete. My advice is embrace the change, drive innovation, and ensure your team is aligned and motivated towards those common goals. Otherwise, you'll end up being extinct. It's as simple as that.
Fantastic. Great advice. Well, look, that's all I have for today. I just want to say, look, thanks very much for having some time for me this afternoon. I really enjoyed sitting down with you. And as always, I'll be sure to make sure I tag you in the post as well.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Pleasure.